Okay. You ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. We're lucky to have Todd Simon, the new head men's basketball coach at Bowling Green State University. And coach has been at UNLV, Findlay Prep, where he was the associate head coach, back to UNLV and Southern Utah, and now at Bowling Green. And I've seen one of their workouts during the summer, and the energy in that place was off the hook. It was a fun time. They only had like an hour and a half with the guys, and the hour and a half went by like 15 minutes. It was just high energy, and it was fun to watch. So I know the coaches here in District 7 are basketball junkies, and we're really looking forward to this, coach. So we can't thank you enough for donating your time to us and having this Zoom clinic with us. So much respect. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
No, I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to get out. We can finally get out and see practices here and on starting on Saturday. So we're going to be out and about. But yeah, you get the nail on the head. We're a big energy program. I mean, we just want to find that consistency of we're never going to lose things on attitude, effort. The sides of the equation. We're going to be really mentally tough, and we measure those things and hold each other accountable for our energy. So I think that's kind of probably what we've been probably known for a little bit. Program, it's kind of it's infectious, as you know, and it's funny that a lot of the players that wanted to transfer to be a part of our program are a lot of our opponents. And I let our guys kind of have a. It's still a game, but we're going to celebrate a little bit. We're going to enjoy winning, but we're also going to be serious about it.
Yeah, when we were talking earlier about the clinic I went to in Tipton, Indiana, 2 Saturdays ago, Mike McBride, who's the head coach at Holy Cross, was there, and he's best friends with Tim Knight, who was all over the place out west when his dad went to Texas Tech. And we were talking about Northwest Ohio basketball, and he said, who ended up getting the Bowling Green job? And I said, well, Todd Simon. He goes, oh my God. He goes, he's good. He goes, you guys are going to like him, because he had connections from when you were at Southern Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, his face lit up like a cherry. He was like, oh, this guy's good. You guys hit a home run on that one.
Well, I'm flattered. We got a lot of work to do, but no, it's fun. I mean, I think we just try to have a good brand of basketball. We're going to win the possession game. I think that's what we always preach. I mean, more games are lost than won. And so we're not going to beat ourselves. We're going to take care of the basketball. We're going to take good shots. We're not going to make egregious mistakes. Not going to, you're going to have to beat us, and we're not going to beat ourselves. And I think when you start there, you're going to be able to find some wins on your schedule, and the rest of it, becomes important. But you can't skip over the main things, which is just playing real clean basketball, a little bit old school in that way, but very new school in a lot of other ways in terms of how we score and how we go about scoring. But a lot of our basic stuff is just let's get our defense set. We're not going to get outnumbered. We're not going to give up high percentage plays, and so that's a lot of where we derive our philosophies. So and it's worked for us. I think we've only been 18 teams in the last 3 years that three great country, and so we're proud of that. We're proud of that. We've kind of found a way to sustain some success. So, but that goes kind of back to the tried and true, play good basketball, you'll give yourself a chance. And then we work on situations a lot, because the games are going to come down to the last 4 or 5 minutes. And I like to think that we probably lead the nation in working on situations. I mean, we're gonna do it every single day. We're gonna carve out time every single day to one team down 7, 2 minutes left from another team. All right, you're holding a lead in the bonus, 90 seconds left. What are you gonna do? Or down 4 45 seconds with the ball, down 4 45 seconds, on defense. So we're gonna cover, and we just got a big list of situations, and some of the best advice from a tactical standpoint is some of these games are gonna come down the last 4 or 5 minutes. What's your what have you worked on strategically, and put those guys in situations, because I think the best predictor of future performance is past performance. And if you do it in practice, guys have a little different confidence. And so those are a lot of things that have really led to our success over time. And because we don't wow people with size and length and all that stuff, but we're going to be very accountable, and I think we can have guys that are going to do what they're supposed to do, and then that gets you a long way. But philosophically, a few things before we get in kind of nuts and bolts. I come back from 8 years of high school basketball, right? So I'm a little bit different, non-traditional background, to say the least. Wasn't a college player, didn't know anybody in the college game whatsoever. Just kind of put my head down and worked, and a couple of people just kept giving me jobs. The next thing you know, you're this is year 9 as an NCAA head coach over third institution. So but a lot of that just comes from I think that high school mentality. I talked about the high school game is such a great training ground. You look at I'll go back to a conversation maybe 5-6 years ago with Dan Hurley over at UConn now, but he was at St. Benedict's, which was another program when we were at Finley Prep, and we were talking about the number of possessions in a high school game pre-shot clock. Now the shot clock's changed things a little bit, but before the shot clock, there was minimum possessions of 4 per game. So when you're a really good team, and I'm sure some people watching this have been in that position, you get down 8 to an underdog, you might not see the ball to the next quarter. And you turn it over, you're not going to see that ball for a while. They're gonna. And my first ever victory, it was believe it or not, for how fast we play, because we're averaging 85-90 a game now, so we're kind of known for scoring. My first ever victory was 23-21. We were vastly underdogs, and we hadn't won very many games as a program at that level, and we got a little lead, and those boys, we spread that thing out, and we held that ball and did everything we could to hold on to that lead, and the clock ran out. I don't know if we won or the clock ran out, but either way, it counted. So I appreciated the possession game, and that at the high school level, you have to appreciate that. And at the college game, so many possessions get thrown away, and I think that's been a huge part that translates. What I also think it really influenced from the high school game is you're not just blessed with elite players that are positioned. Sometimes you gotta be creative every year, from year to year, on how you're going to produce points, how you're going to build your team, because you don't have full control over that 1 through 13 or whatever, like we do here. So but kind of philosophically, kind of give you a brief overview. Our deal, again, we're an attitude and effort deal. We're going to lead with relationships. We've got a saying that we're not going to lead the nation in resources, but we can lead the nation in relationships with our players. And and I think that's pretty genuine. We really built a staff full of teachers, player development guys, young energy a little bit, guys that we're taught well, and but now can pass it on. So we believe in that. They don't care about what until they know you care. That's a big mantra of ours. And so we've got to kind of open up their hearts and brains before we just start instructing them. I think that's a hallmark of this generation. We're huge into the fundamentals. You got to finish first, before, or nothing's going to work, right? And if guys can't make a left-hand layup, it's going to cost you points during the year. If guys can't jump stop, it's going to cost you points. If they can't pivot, it's going to cost you points, right? So we're working on that stuff all the time, and it's important. It's important. the relationship piece, the college game with the portal and all, and the NIL, it's gotten very transactional. And we've tried to stay true. So there's transformational relationships and transactional. We're trying to stay in the transformational side of things. I think there's, people still value that, and I think that gets lost a little bit in the, what's going on right now is that there's people are still looking for those relationships. So things that we teach, we teach in a real whole method. I think you saw that in our practice. We do a lot as a team. I don't like standing around at all. I don't like wasted movement. So we'll do a lot of stuff 5-on-5 and 4-on-4, 3-on-3, 4-on-4 and 4. I think our other practice we did, I don't know, well over 100 possessions at half court 4-on-4 and 4. Team scope, make it, take it, they score, they keep it, defense gets to stop, they clear it, and next team's jumping in on D, and we're going, and we're rolling 3 teams out, and we'd be able to get 100 possessions in 45 minutes.
The amount of competitiveness that was in that 120-minute workout that I got to see was fantastic. And it was great to see the kids physically. It was like hand-to-hand combat to a certain degree, but they were all cool. They understood that, I didn't see them bickering with each other, whatever. But the amount of competition in that short amount of time you guys had was fantastic.
Yeah, and you got to take time to explain, what this means. Okay, like, and we do a lot of that. So, okay, when there is, contact on every play, like, do you want this? If this contact occurs and you don't like it on the offensive end, but you sure want it on your team, right? You want this guy to be able to do this, or we teach psychology of, hey, you take a bad shot, what does that tell the other 4 guys? The message is, hey, that your bad shot's better than their good shot. And that's not what you really want to tell them. Or, hey, you blocked this guy a little bit hard and you didn't like it, whatever. And he's like, he's fighting scrapping to win. Isn't that what you want as a teammate? And so we will stop it and explain what's going on, interpret exactly what it is. I think that's helped us. So big thing for us, we start practice, we set expectations, we talk about what the day is going to look like. We'll say, hey, this is what we did poorly yesterday. We'll talk individually, we'll go around the room, we'll do all those things. There's something when you have to vocalize what it is that kind of gets you reset and focused, and so that's important. Another trick that we do, we speak in their language. We'll do a lot of stuff. I get players on our team will DM me stuff probably as much as I DM them stuff, about, hey, something I saw on the internet, here's a play. I get plays from our players now and say, hey, coach, did you see this? Or, hey, you see this, Kobe Bryant quote or whatever it might be. Like, I try to meet them in their world a little bit. And there's it's like, stuff floating by, like coaching, you got to grab it when you can. There's so many teachable moments out there. So, but that competitiveness is, what do we look for in recruiting? Is that competitiveness is number one for us. Guys are competitive will get better. That's a whole thing. I don't mind guys whose cup overflows. That doesn't bother me. It's hard for me to turn guys up. If we go find competitors that really want to win, that's number one. And then after that, you need a certain skill level, you need a position to guard, those certain things. But our kind of guys, those are the ones that are trying to scrap and claw and find a way to win. So that's kind of our thing, that's kind of what we're looking for. But so a lot of what we're doing is based on those basic principles, and a lot of what we'll see, we'll kind of get this engine fired up here. But we're doing a ton of 5-0 up tempo space, space the floor stuff. We're very hard to guard off the ball. We want to leave the rim empty, right? So 1 through 5, we have a lot of shooting, on the floor for us, and but that isn't why we're spaced. People have to guard us because the guys that don't necessarily that you want to guard up there will our cutting and 45 cutting and using them as screeners. And so there's, my thing is I want to always have 3 shooters on the floor, never less than that. And that's dictated by who the defense is willing to guard. And so that's kind of where we categorize guys. And after that, it doesn't matter what position it is, then we kind of rearrange it from there. But I'll get going. I'm going to share the screen and we'll kind of fly through a little bit of this. Bear with me for a second as I fire this thing up. So
there's something up.
All right, you see that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna go through here a little bit, just some numbers here to kind of start out a little bit.
Yeah, take your time, coach. Nobody here's in a hurry. Take your time.
Okay, gotcha. So a little bit of just obviously some of our recruiting propaganda, but just some facts here. The really protecting home court has been a big deal. We've been one of the 10 best home court teams in the last few years. Won 27 of our last 30 at home, and we're constantly trying to increase our pace. So give a little history. We were a defensive based team for a bunch of years, and come 1920 season, we I was sitting with the coaching friend, and we were in X and O and doing all that stuff, and it was just like an epiphany. He's like, well, you'd like to do all these things, and we X and O here, and then I look at your team, and it's all long, athletic, lower skilled guys that can't finish these plays. Like why don't you go get some shooters? Why don't you go do this and score? You know what I mean? And so that year we did, and we finished third. We were 20-4, finished third in the nation in scoring. That very next season, we kind of really flipped from a very number 1 defensive team in the Big Sky Conference to an offensive team, and that's where we've kind of positioned ourselves the last few years. And quite frankly, it's just because I enjoy it. Number 1, I like it. It's more fun to watch. It's I think we can control the game. I think the rules have changed to benefit offense so much that that's kind of where we change our philosophy for it. A big thing about it was we get to the free throw line. We put a lot of people on islands and we stay on attack. We love paint touches. That's a huge barometer for us. A couple of these things, like things that we really value, like silent out of bounds offense is important. We're going to make sure that we are good in ATOs. We want to be good in cuts. We want to be good in finishing. These things. We're very into that because we want to know where we stand. The rebounding aspect. We're anything rebounding team, and we don't. Be honest with you, we don't do rebounding drills. We anything that we do 5-on-5, we chart. And the guys that and we graded it out. And so that what we found is, at the college level, we only get so many hours. So by kind of building a better mousetrap, so we said, okay, we're not working on rebounding anymore, but we've been top 25, top 50 every year in rebounding, even though we've been largely undersized. And we just found by holding people accountable that was much more effective than necessarily having to beat each other up every day in practice. So those are some of the things that we value and like to keep track of. Some of the things that how we're playing, we're getting that ball up and down the floor quick. We're flowing into it. We're putting constant rim pressure. That whether it's things that we say put pressure on the rim, it's a post up. That everyone gets nervous. You're getting close there. You're gonna dribble drive to the paint. All of a sudden defense has to collapse. You're talking about somebody back cuts, that creates those collapses. And once we get defensive collapse, we're creating all kinds of closeouts. So we can create those closeouts, we can create more driving lanes and rotations, and that's what we're going to find our numbers advantages, and we don't settle, and so we know, okay, hey, here's when we won the possession, and we got to define that. We sit down with the team and say, here's how are you going to win this possession. You watch USA Lithuania. USA was fine trying to keep playing 1-on-5. We're more talented than you. It took a ton of bad shots. Lithuania was just move it until you found the numbers advantage and an open shot. It's still a game. It's a 5-on-5 game. So pace and space, what I found very difficult to especially with changing rosters, right? It's difficult. The timing is extensive to build an offense. Wait on this, okay, set this up. That's very difficult to do. The kind of the modern pace and space, run to your spots. We call it triggers. We're going to make our triggers, we'll make our reads, and that pace and space is and let's get 2 guarding 1 and make the simple play. That's a little bit more of what we're about. A couple of goals, shot selection. What do we want? First, 7 seconds, we're pushing. We can get a great shot in that first 7 seconds, or great rotation. That's great, right? What is a great shot? We're talking about paint. We're talking about catch and shoot threes. Can we cause a mismatch and pick on it in the half court because of how fast we play? Because we let 1 through 5 dribble it up. In a perfect world, I'd love to see our 4s and 5s bring the ball in transition, and teams have to pick us up with guards, and then we just get cross matched and then attack the mismatch. We'll play that game all day. And then 23-10, that's when you're getting your play calls, right? You're getting whatever actions it is. Can we get a paint touch, drive and kick, post up, all these things we're finding there. And then if it's not there, we're getting into a play out of a ball screen in the last 10 seconds. And that's when there's a little bit more freedom because we got to create a shot. But that's kind of our measurables. Some of our spacing real quick before we jump into the film, some of our, dunker spot, we call this the money spot here in front of the rim. We call this the pro post, that 15-foot area. Our 45s is a 45-degree angle from the rim. Our slots are kind of more right off the lane line, and then this volleyball line. So our spacing for us is volleyball line, corner, point guard with the ball, and big, whether he's at nail, elbow, or any of these spots, we will move that interior guy around a little bit. But our spacing is that wild because we believe we can space this guy out to this coach's hash, right, which is near that volleyball line, and we can just step into a shot and still be okay. Right? We got to jump here right into the film here. We're talk about our secondary break. We do a lot of different things here, but we're going right here. Our 5-man gets it, and we're all going down the floor, right? We're trying to get everybody getting down this direction. Right. So, and here, sometimes what we'll have, it doesn't bother me if we don't get floor balance in transition. If we get 3 running to a side, we know what our deal is. We're getting open side ball screen, or this guy can drive baseline and flip the post is what we call it. Right. So we don't like going baseline to explore. I don't like baseline to do jump passes or all that stuff. We've got a clear lane. We'll take it. If not, we want to flip this thing around, turn the defense around. Right, so here he goes, boom, right to a flip the post. Immediately, we got a flare screen set up. This guy dives behind this corner of the backboard. We got some movement over here. Guys repositioning. He goes from this side all the way under to the other side. Difficult to find. Guys are hard. It's hard to do because we're changing the direction of the floor. Here, everyone's facing half court. Right, and now everyone's got to turn their head and face this guy who just posted up, and we're at 7 seconds into the shot clock. So we're changing sides of the floor and then playing out of it. And these are all kind of reads that we kind of put together here. but we don't care about 3 to a side, 4 to a side, doesn't matter. So again, here we go. This is our 4-man getting the rebound, and he's going, right? We play a lot of multi-dimensional guys, right? Guys running, to the perimeter. He goes immediately to a flip to post again, right? Big nose, he's cutting back behind backboard. We're getting split action on top of the guards. Let him go to work. Again, we get the spacing here. Here he kind of gets this little pitch back, right? So he runs wide, he's running wide, big run to the rim, he's running wide. But again, here's a simple read. He comes down here, get on 2. He reads this pitch back. He's got a duck in, right? So I don't love the dunker spot in terms of spacing out. I would much rather have my guy do this right here. Go seal this guy, occupy him, right? Occupy him, and they have to guard you that close to the rim. Here we get this thing happen. This is all happening 4 or 5 seconds in the shot clock. And Colorado is a very good team, right? It's very hard to guard those first 5. You can't guard that tempo and speed, right? In you can't simulate it. So we get really good at it. We do it for 40 minutes. Again, we're going. Guys are down the floor. There's 29 in the shot clock. We got guys out of the picture already. There's an expectation of how fast we're playing, right? So again, our big runs, seals at the rim. We work on this little catch and go here. He's catching on the fly, knowing he's going to turn the corner. Big's down here already sealing. The help's not going to be there, right? We get an and one. Again, some more secondary breaks. We call this is named for Gortat, played in the NBA, was kind of known for the screen. Again, this big is seek and destroy, right? Seek and destroy. He's looking, we got corner fill, we got all the spacing we would like, and that big is just sealing that help, and let's make a play. 5, 6 seconds in the shot clock, we're getting a quick dunk. Again, so we love this pistol action, right? So we'll get up here. We like this toes pointing to half. It's really hard to deny. We're inside the key, or inside the arc rather, right off free throw line, somewhere, anywhere in there. We give him a little leeway from about this hash on up to the free throw line, and not any further out than this, right? So he's got some reads. He can come off this thing. He can go opposite. He can use as a step-up screen. He's got all these options. So here he fakes it. Now, okay, why are we running this? We had a clear mismatch we identified. Okay, we'll play mismatch basketball all day long. Here, this is their best scorer. We targeted him early, got him in foul trouble. So you're gonna have to defend. And so we'll put guys in this simple island right here. Right. Again, 5's diving on the move and just putting the guys in space. But again, see, this 5 is occupying the shot blocker. He can't come over here because if he does, he's going to go here. You put him in the short corner. Again, now I feel a lot better about as a shot blocker coming over and helping, knowing that that's an easier fill down. When this guy's tight, it's kind of counter to what a lot of people believe, but it's what we believe. So again, we get this. He's here. He chooses to come off a flare this direction. Again, we've identified the mismatch. We're going to keep going identifying this thing. Right. Again, occupy the shot blocker. And now we're here. Again, now we're going, right? So we're here. Our big thing, we had Kansas kind of right there at the end. And our deal is we were gonna run on them. We were gonna run, play our game. We wanted to score 90 in Fog Allen. We didn't get there, but we had a chance to win in the final minute. And again, we're going, right. This is one dribble, throw it ahead. Guys are running wing. Go make a play. This is hard to defend. 3-4 seconds in the shot clock, right? And get it up on the rim. And our big deal, if he misses this, we still feel good. We run so hard, these guys are going to clean that thing up if he misses it. Again, if you see multiple guys bring the ball up the floor, here's our 4-man. Again, we're going. That ball's kicked ahead. We're across half in 2-3 seconds, right? And we're putting pressure on this rim. Again, we make a great play, another extra. This is a kind of our culture. Guys know where our spacing, they know where each other is. That's that consistency kicks in. Make the extra pass. Guys are there. It's a big deal for us. And we're bringing it again. We got corner filled. He's stopping close to that coach's hash where we want. Bring the ball. Go until they stop you. That's kind of our rule with this guy bringing the ball. Go until they stop you. All right. And a lot of times it's going to sink a defender in. Right. We're going to be better at making fast decisions than them. This is doesn't matter a score. Doesn't matter 3-4 seconds in the shot clock. That's a great shot for us. But this guy earned it. He ran hard to that corner. Again, we don't care about overloading the side, right? I don't care that there's 3 on that side, right? So here we're going. Rebound, we're going, kick ahead. That ball's up, right? 2.5 seconds into the shot clock. That's okay. Okay, we work on that shot. Again, just a lot of changing sides of the floor. Again, these kick aheads, the cross court kick aheads. So we'll do stuff in practice where we say, hey, you can't cross half court with the dribble. We'll play games at the 6-second shot clock, or we'll go possession, 10-second shot clock, 10-second shot clock, go 3 trips, or we'll go possession because we want to be able to play slow and fast. My philosophy is a lot easier for a fast team to get to play slow than for a slow team to have to, be able to play this pace on a 3-day prep. Again, get on 2. Everything is on 2. And this is a big deal for us. Get on 2. Get on 2. Get on 2. Right. But this guy worked hard, ran the floor, so you can get this dumped down 3-4 seconds in the shot clock. Right. It's these things are hard to do to get these bigs to run up and down the floor in 5-6 seconds. Again, we're going, but he knows he's communicating. We preach talking on offense as much as we do on defense, right? So that's a very important part of this deal, right? So he's going here, he's communicating to him, right? So putting a lot of pressure. Again, 27 on the shot clock. Like we're not. It doesn't bother us. We know those are our plays. Again, here's a 5-out spacing, right? You get a lot of room. Right, so these step-up screens and transition are very difficult, right? So the high pickup point, we're going to exploit that, right? Again, this is a guy that earned that trust a little bit. Guy has hands down. He's a guy we it's hard. The confidence thing is difficult, right? Some guys, get a little extra leash. We used to do a green light test that we stole from Pat Summit. If you met a certain threshold of shots, you got the green light to take some of those shots. People say like, hey, how are you guys so okay with some of these shots you take? But in reality, it's, Kevin Jones is number 55 in this thing. He's in the Pelicans training camp. Like he shot 40 from 3. He gets a little different role. The kid who made that last one is number 3 scorer in school history. They get more rope, and I think having that confidence keeps organization on your team and get people to understand like, hey, everyone has a different role in this thing. It's just the reality of the deal. Early ball screens, right? We love these trail ball screens. Love the trail ball screens. Right here, we get another side. I mean, we've got a ball screen, a reversal, a second ball screen for 23 on the clock. So now we're changing the tags, you're changing all that stuff. Big get behind the defender, occupy, get us buckets. Again, we love this little double drag. We'll stagger these double drags. We like, this is difficult to guard, right? Here they've basically said, hey, we're not going to guard your 5. That's no problem, right? We're still going to find ways. Our adjustment here is, okay, if you're not going to guard our 5, we're going to bring our 4 into this as well. And so now on this deal, he pops. We're still going to create the confusion in the traffic. And if you notice, where does our 5 go? He goes right here, occupy the shot blocker, get a seal. And if you want to drive that, you still had a driving lane. Again, we have so much movement off the ball. So when we get these actions on one side, ball screen, dribble, handoff, whatever it is, we want 2-man game over here. They can flare, they can pin down. This guy can 45, he can lift, they can reject the pin down. We teach all these things that we call triggers, right? They're just, this happens, you're doing one of these 3 things, never more than really 3 things. So I try to keep it about there. But what it's doing is just occupying and giving him gaps, right? This gap isn't filled. This gap isn't filled. He can make a dribble move either direction off the top, which is very hard to guard, right? And what it does, okay, middle drives from the middle of the floor, very hard to decide who's weak, who's strong side, right? Those are very hard to decide. Okay, whose help is this? In a lot of these defenses, so no one comes over to help and let our players make plays. Okay, some special situations we can talk about here. That we talked about. Like, this is one we're pretty proud of. It tie game, 85-85, 2.6 seconds left. Little bit more time on the clock than I liked, right? A little bit more time than we liked. We had our most athletic, strong player. We're going to throw this up to him, right? And here we might have time to hit this guy right here on this pass, but reality deal is we're doing this to get fouled. So his job is to go up, get it, and try to get fouled in the air. Basically, you're not trying to avoid contact. You're initiating contact, go straight up, straight down, and turn into your shot, regardless of where the defense is, and hope they clip you, right? Because everyone in this situation is trying to be aggressive. So we're going to take advantage of aggressiveness. And sure enough, here he comes down with it and goes right into a shot. But again, don't fade. And this defender here gets into him, no time on the clock. We get free throws, and we came away with the W. Again, some more of them that we do here. This one didn't fall for us, okay, but some looks that we like, right? We're down 3, okay, give ourselves a chance. Second guy peel off, right? But he's really coming back, for an X action for the guy the initial peel off guy, right? So we need a 3. We know teams like to foul in this situation, right? So a lot of times they don't want to foul, too early. So we're going to try to create a little chaos before it, right? So at least we got to look at it. Did it go in? It didn't in this situation. But later you'll see here, we worked on it. Here we added a screen to it, right? Here's a game where we were down 23 in the second half. Here we ended up winning it in regulation here in the semifinal. And I think largely, I think our situations really came into play. Like we worked on a lot of, hey, here's how we're going to handle being down big. You got to do this, this, and this. And guys embraced it. But here we kind of got a little bit of the same stuff, but in the full court action. We know that they want to foul across half, right? They weren't trying to foul in the back court. They wanted to foul across half. So let's add the screen and let's get these exchanges, add a screen in here, create a 3-person game, get a little bit of confusion. He gets a shot off with the foul. Right, so he gets just some of these reads, right? Some of these teams that play safety off the ball, right? Well, this is kind of a look that we like. We'll just kind of quick inbounds, give it right back to the inbounder. Some teams that will play not guarding inbounder, deny. We'll do some of the same stuff, throw back, a quick 3. We're okay with those shots. That's some of the special situations that we like. in addition to the transition stuff and all that stuff. So we're just trying to find ways to score points as effectively as we can. But I want to open it up a little bit. Any questions? I know we kind of got going there, kind of flowing through it, but I wanted to kind of hit and see if there was any questions, anything that we do.
Yeah, I got a question here for you, Coach. So when you teach your special situations, how do you rep that? Do you do it dry first or naked 5-on-0 first and then go jumping right into 5-on-5?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I like to do first, if it's a short one particularly, I like to let them fail first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if down 3, side out of bounds, okay, how are we going to get a shot? And then kind of try to figure it out. Then maybe I'll give it to them on the fly as a drop, right? And then see if they can execute it. And then we'll break it down from there. So a lot of times I'm not afraid to like spring drops on them because sometimes that's going to be needed in the heat of a game, but then we'll work on it and we have our sets on stuff, but we'll do it all 5-on-5 live. And then we'll work backwards to, okay, 5-on-0, here's exactly what everyone's job is. Here's how we want to do it. Now let's try this again, So, and I like that when the defense knows what it is, it's like, hey, it's the game. Defenses are going to try to stop it. So, that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah, here's a great question. When do you think is the best time in regards to a practice to teach your special situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't like always doing it at the end or anything like that. And I really don't like always just playing at the end. Sometimes that you lose that focus a little bit. We'll sometimes start practice with a special situation, especially if we didn't do well on it on a previous day. Sometimes we'll do it in between a drill. All of a sudden, we'll be doing a shooting drill and something like that, and all of a sudden, next one, okay, 6 seconds on the clock, full court winner, and we're just jumping right into it. I like to create chaos in our practice. We're playing so fast, I can't create enough chaos, right? And get guys to think fast. We're really training that. So we're doing the same thing. So we're going to create this chaos and say, okay, 2 seconds baseline of bounds. Right now, loser runs. All right, get into it. You know what I mean? Like, and the tempo is fast. So all of a sudden now you got to execute. You're trying to simulate a little bit of a hectic situation. So we'll do it all over practice, but it'll be on the practice plan. I'll have 15 situations on the practice plan. I never take it off the practice plan once we get going. And every day I'll just circle 3 or 4 of them, and then we just do it. And it takes a little bit of time, but that 5-on-5 is important, and I think you get a little bit more out of that too.
Another great question. Coach, can you talk about how you build your transition in practice? Do you go 5-on-0 and then 5-on-5 right away, or build up to it? Example, 2 versus 4 versus 3, 5 versus 4, etc.
Yeah, great question. So we work on a couple of different breaks. One advantage break is what we call it. So 2-on-1 is an advantage break, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, 5-on-4. Those are all advantage breaks. We call it nugget. Some people call it the kind of Carolina build up. We'll do that a lot, but I'm very specific on what I want out of 2-on-1. We're not giving that ball up without making that defender commit. 3-on-2, we're hitting a wing and that guy step into the ball 100% of the time. We don't deviate. We just don't deviate. And that weak side guy's running to the arc, not to the rim, right? We're just gonna. It's just we just are who we are. 4-on-3, we're gonna get a weak side corner every single time, create a 2-on-1. kind of the same deal. So we've got a very distinct way. So we do that in the advantage break, which we'll do in what we call our nugget drill, which is the build up 2-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, 5-on-4, and on 5-on-5. We score it in the whole thing, which a lot of people run that drill, but we teach very specific what that advantage break is. And then in terms of our traditional break, we start with 5-on-0. We'll go 5 trips a lot of times. So we'll go 5 trips. Okay. And everyone's got to get a touch. So 2's got to get a touch, 3's got to get 4, 5, whatever it is. And then some days we'll say, well, hey, everyone's got to get a ball screen. So we're kicking up to the 2, 1 cutting through, 5, the trail 5 gets him a ball screen, or kick it ahead to the 4 and the 5 is going to give him a ball screen. So we're working on all of our ball screen stuff in transition. Or another day we might say, hey, I want, we're kicking up all catch and shoots, or all, catch and drives type of thing. So we'll be very specific on that, but we'll do it on 5 trips, 5-on-0, 5 trips. And we're going fast. So we won't take the ball out of bounds even. Some days we will, some days we won't. A lot of times we're just saying, get it off the net and go. We'll work on different guys bringing it up. So it's okay. Ford gets it, he's bringing it. So we'll vary it a little bit, but we'll do a lot of that 5-on-0, and then until we get the hang of the speed of it, and then we'll bring defense in there. We'll go 3 trips. So we'll start with like a half court set, or a half court side out of bounds, or half court BOB, or free throw, or whatever it may be, and then we'll go 10-second trip, 10-second trip back, right? So we'll get 2 transitions and something in the half court, or a special situation in the 2 trips. So that's kind of how we build up into it.
Great answer. Another really good question. What do you do versus teams who try to play deliberately against you to control the pace of the game?
Yeah, we get that a lot. In fact, we'll have teams put nobody on the free throw line and try to take us out of running off of free throws. Kansas sent 4 or 5 back, even at the highest levels, just say, hey, we're not going to let you get us in transition, which makes a lot of sense. And but for us, regardless, we've got to still play our tempo. So we don't try to get sped up defensively. A lot of our thing at the end of the day is good offensively as you want to be. You still got to get stops, because if you're taking out of the net every time, it's not going to work. But teams that try to be a little bit more deliberate, that type of thing, we'll change our pressure. We'll start trapping ball screens. We'll trap, stuff on the sideline. We'll do some things to kind of try to force the action just a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, we're so accustomed to just kicking that ball ahead and putting that pressure on defense that, maybe we don't score in the first 5-6 seconds, but we feel like we can still get a reversal maybe and get something in the next 5 to 6 seconds.
Another really good question. Do you feel like you give up extra offensive rebounds by starting transition so early?
You know what? We don't. I love teams that send 4 to the glass, 5 to whatever it is, because we feel like we're going to make them pay more. We don't leak out. We've got very distinct rules in terms of our defensive rebounding. Like, so leaking out's not part of it. That's going to be a huge deal. But we really teach the first 3 steps. So once that ball's secured, it's head down for 3 steps. Before you're even peeking back. So that's a hard habit to get them to stop. To not look back until you're down the floor. And I really don't want guys outletting. I don't want a point guard coming back for the ball. I want that ball going the other direction.
Another really good question. What is your favorite all-time drill? Whether it's offense, defense, no matter, your favorite drill.
That's a great one. I used to probably say shell drill, which I love. I love perfect stop, where we'll have 30 seconds on the clock, and there's got to be 30 straight seconds of perfect stops, and sometimes they'll be required to get 4 or 5 stops depending on shot selection. But I like that a lot. It requires ultimate focus and rebounding and all that stuff. Some other ones I like. Um, I love we do an 80 and four shooting drill. You gotta make 83s. It's basically a 3-man transition shooting drill where guys are getting 3 shots on each trip down the floor. We got to make 80. I like that one. It requires a lot of talk offensively. So if you mess up once or twice, you ain't gonna get 80. So that's a drill I really like. But yeah, those are probably my favorites, I think. Let's see, you got another one in the chat. In our 5-0, you try to send a certain number of guys to the offensive glass. Do you have designated get back guys? We do, absolutely do. We actually have a get back coach. So every time we play 5-on-5 or anything, or we're going half court 5-on-5, I have a guy stand at half. His job is basically to make sure our 3, usually we're sending 3 back and 2 to the glass. We're a very good offensive rebounding team because we make those 2 that go to the glass go. If they don't, it doesn't provide a lot of value for us. But the 3, we're 3 get backs to the middle of the floor, and I don't want to give up transition buckets. I want to get them, but I want to get them up, and I want to get our defense set. So we specify exactly who it is, and sometimes we'll send guards to the glass. We've had our 4-man being part of the guys that have been get back guys, depending on who's out there. So I do it by player. And what I find is some guys aren't good at doing both. So some guys, what you are is what you are. So if you're, I've had 4s that you're strictly get back guys, and I've had 4s that are strictly crash the glass guys. I give one job, do it great, and then there's no confusion. So yeah, we're passionate about that.
All right, another question from one of the crits here in my bar. What do you think is your hard? What is the hardest action for your team to guard?
Yeah, good question. Ball screens. I mean, at the end of the day, like I feel like sets and all that stuff you can kind of take away through scouting them and all that sort of thing. Honestly, motion's more difficult to guard because of the randomness to it. It's harder to scout. I think we do a really good job taking people out of sets. But motion, play after the play, random ball screens, I think some of that stuff is more difficult for us just because of the randomness to it. You've got to I wouldn't say that just there's a ton of things that Rick really struggled with, in terms of just set half court stuff, but things that get you lulled to sleep or 2-3 sides of a lot of movement, I think is very hard to guard.
All right. Another question from one of the convicts who are in this bar. The number one thing you look for in a recruit?
Competitive by far. I watch a kid losing a state semifinal, walk off the floor, kind of be not great in the handshake line, storm off, rip his jersey off, and I signed him. I said, that dude hated losing, hated it. Now, do you like those actions, all that stuff? No, I don't make him a bad kid. He hated losing. You know what I know who else is a sore loser? I'm a sore loser. so it's what I mean? So I'm like, I can deal with those guys and say, okay, hey, this is the perception. We can teach you a little bit, teachable moments. But the guys that just like are okay with losing, like, I can't do it. So, and if you're competitive, you're going to do whatever it takes to get better. So you crave winning. So that's by far give me some competitive dogs that just want to, fight at everything. I mean, I ain't letting my kids win at checkers. I keep my record to let them know. So, they're just learning, but they think I'm gonna make sure, I'm still had to get back, do some training, make sure I don't lose. So, but no, it is. I like that competitive spirit.
Well, this looks like our last question here, and this really doesn't have much to do with the game of basketball, but other than climate, and I know you're a Michigan guy, you grew up with Fowlerton, right?
Fowler, yep.
Fowler, right? Yeah, the Mecca of Western civilization.
Many have said that, yes.
Right, right. So, what's the biggest difference you've seen from coming from Southern Utah to Bowling Green?
Ooh, well, there's no mountains, number one. You know, that's yeah, we're going from very mountainous to very flat. Um, but yeah, the humidity, we're back. Forgot what that Midwest felt like. It felt like um yeah, it's just a little different. I haven't seen any mountain lions. I haven't seen any cougars or any of those things out this way. So, it's a different two very beautiful parts of the country, very different. This is very green, that's very red. So it's yeah, it couldn't be more different in terms of look and feel, but both great people, and so that part's been awesome.
We do have one more question, and I think it's a good one. Who's the best coach you've ever faced?
Ooh, and we've had some good ones. I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue with Coach Izzo. You know, I think the world of what he's done at Michigan State, and and when we played Kansas, Bill Self actually didn't coach that game. So but obviously his guys, but it's hard to argue. Coach Izzo was I grew up growing up in that shadow, and you see that in that brand of basketball. I'm a huge believer.
All right. Well, I do have another question here. What was your biggest takeaway from your high school coach?
Yeah, ooh, great question. Um, I thought I really enjoyed. So my neighbor was our varsity coach, and he left the year before I got there. But I studied it, and I enjoyed his poise and how he kind of manages players, and the style of play, And then when I was there, we had another head coach, Coach Bichet, and I enjoyed his demeanor too, and his teaching style. Like he didn't get real rattled. He was a teacher. You know what I mean? I thought that and stuff made. I just when I teach, I just try to teach to it if it makes sense to me, and use words that make sense to me. And maybe they're not proper basketball, but I always thought like what he just stuff he said just made sense to me, and he explained why things were why we're doing things, and I think that probably stuck more than anything.
That's a great answer. Well, it looks like these degenerates do not have any more questions. So, and the fine people who attended via Zoom, it looks like our chat's empty. So, hey, I sure appreciate this, Coach. Great job.
I appreciate you having me. I love
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I'll go anytime.
What I know I will get asked this. Who should the coaches here contact if they would like to watch a practice?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat, just to make it easier. This is our ops guy. Our practices are always open. I think we've got 2 or 3 people at every practice. And his name is Parker. And you shoot him an email, he'll get it right back to you. Everything is open, so no matter what it is, whatever. If I could put our practices online, I would. So we ain't got no secrets. So we're just trying to coach ball.
Great. Well, hey, great job, and thank you so much for donating your time to District 7 basketball coaches.
No, I appreciate it, and hopefully I'll get out and see some of y'all, and yeah, we'll see if we can't learn a few things.
Jeremy McDonald just said thank you, and Jeremy just did a podcast for us here at Rust Belt, so that'll be coming out soon. And Kyle, the president, El Presidente of District.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, don't be a stranger to anything. We share everything. I got a lot of stuff on paper. My staff will share whatever. If you got questions, I got from clinics all the time, and just anything I can ever help with the drills, whatever it may be, we'll gladly share what we do.
Okay, I did just get yelled at. Find out what kind of cookies your kids like, and my wife will take care of the cookie aspect of your basketball program.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm gonna go on a limb right now and say chocolate chips not a bad way to go.
Yeah, you can't
And that
lose.
may or may not include me.
Hey, Brock, thank you for thanking Coach, and Anthony is giving you a thumbs up, Coach. So I sure appreciate your time, Coach, and you did a great job. And if you guys ever need your IQs lowered, let me know, and I'll come watch a practice again.
Oh yeah, you're always welcome. Doors wide open.
Okay.
So,
Well, hey, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and get ready to go watch these Lions tonight. Every year, this might be the real year this year.
Yeah. Some people do think the Titanic didn't sink, so we but hey, I sure appreciate your time, Coach.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. You guys have a great evening, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
You got it. Talk later.
Yep, see you, Coach.
Bye.